I gotta just use the bathroom for a second.
All right. Hey, Dean and Christian. Y'all see the YouTube link in the Zoom chat?
Yeah, we do. The what?
All right. Can one of y'all post that to the Discord and actually, hang on. I'm gonna write something for you to copy paste. Okay. You should be able to just copy paste the message I put in the Zoom chat. Just copy paste that into Discord. Hey Jim, how you doing?
Fine, thank you, Scotty. How are you?
Good. Hope your calls went well.
Yeah, I just got off it, so everything's stacking up here on Friday night of all nights.
Yeah. Well, everyone's trying to get out for Easter weekend, and then I think most people are off on Monday as well, right?
In Europe, yes. In US, not really. I don't know if Easter Monday is all that popular. Like my kids are off.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm never sure because I found out freshman year at Duke that we weren't getting Labor Day off. And I was like, well,
Really?
that's weird.
Oh, that's unusual.
And then I got into the real world and then I was like, what? I get Labor Day off. Why? It's just a Monday.
Yeah, it's a traditional one though,
Um,
right? Because that's end of summer, right? That's how we define summer.
Yeah.
Memorial Day on the
Yeah.
beginning end and Labor Day on the end. So it's those two are very, very
Yeah.
traditional.
The downsides of starting school in August.
Mhm.
Your summer ends before summer ends.
Yeah. Oh, I know. I used to think that if the month ended in BER, that was the harbinger for fall and winter.
Yeah. So real quick, are you gonna share anything on your screen? Because if you
Uh-huh.
are, I
Yeah, I
okay.
was going to just maybe demo a few of the services just to inspire some of the participants, and that's really it.
All right. You should be able to screen share now. We are already on broadcasting on YouTube live.
Okay, great.
So I guess that's just real quick. Jay, Christian, Dean, did y'all post the Zoom chat message into the Discord?
I'm posted.
I
I'm
could
gonna
do that
post
right
it.
now.
I'm gonna post it into the YouTube.
Well, you don't need to post that one to YouTube because that's just a link to this talk. So if y'all post if you're already posted a Discord, then we can get started. So y'all did that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, great.
Okay. All right. Thank you everyone for joining us. We have with us Jim Sullivan, the CTO of the Blockchain Academy. How you doing, Jim?
I'm doing all right. Thank you, Scotty. How are you?
Good, good.
Thanks for having us in.
Definitely. We're excited to have you here join us for this hackathon. And before we jump into your material, just letting everyone know a little bit, the Blockchain Academy has a lot of great workshops to help you learn various skills you need for, just building blockchains and all that. And in fact, one of the sponsors, Hedera, they are offering some great prizes. First place for their corporate challenge is $7,500. That's US dollars, cash. So you definitely want to check out what the Blockchain Academy has to offer. We will have other sessions with Jim, but today is the first one. He's going to demo a couple of things. And just in general, they have a lot of great workshops available to everyone. We will post more information about that. And if you want to get some help building for the Discord or for the Hedera challenge, you'll be able to access office hours with Hedera, as well as getting additional support from the Blockchain Academy. So, Jim, I hope I advertised you well. Feel free to add anything to that.
All right. No, that was really good. Thanks, Scotty. What I'm going to do right now for everyone is just go over some of the popular services that are offered on Hedera, just in the event that you need some inspiration or to give you some good ideas for what you might want to add to your project. That's all we'll do. And if you have any questions about it, obviously you can expand it in your sessions with Hedera and certainly talk to us about it. Happy to talk to you about it.
All right, thank you for that. If anyone has questions right now while we're live, you're definitely welcome to go to the YouTube video, the YouTube live chat and type questions there. We have a couple volunteers monitoring that. They will bring the questions into our Zoom room. But otherwise, you can also post in Discord and we will answer questions there. The Blockchain Academy will also have people answering questions there. So without further ado, how about we go and have Jim, take us away. What do we need to know about blockchain?
Okay, great. Yeah, why don't I just go into, I'm going to start sharing. And let's take a look at some services. A little bit later on, maybe we'll look at some of what's available here at the Blockchain Academy platform. But let's first take a look at, now this is the Java SDK. And I just wanted to go over just some of the basics of connecting to Hedera and then creating an account and then funding that account. Really very straightforward. Obviously, this is using the Java SDK. We can see a class right here. I just call Hedera examples. And what we're going to do is connect to the testnet. We're importing client actually up here. So you can see here the Hedera Hashgraph Java SDK is right here, and also this .NET environment. And what the .NET environment just really allows you to do, it gives you a lot, but you can also put your account in a separate file and your private key in a separate file. That way you don't have to hard code your account or your private key. So you want to make sure you include that in your imported libraries. And then just right here again, we're going to take what's in the environment files, the account ID and the private keys, and create these ID object, account ID object, and the private key object. We are going to connect to the testnet there, and we are then going to set up as an operator with our private key and our account ID. We're going to create another account, that's something you may want to do, and you may want to fund it. So right here, where account create transaction creates a new account object, and we set a public key for it because the new account has its own public key. And then we fund it with some HBARs. That's the native cryptocurrency of Hedera. Then we just want to return that new account ID back to the console. And we also want to make a query of the balance that's associated with that account. Pretty straightforward here. It's a great way to get acquainted with the Java SDK. And we will look at the JavaScript SDK shortly. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice a little bit. So let's go ahead and run this. And I can't make this any bigger. I was trying. But if we take a look here at the output, you can see here that we get that account ID back. And then we did the query on the account ID, return that to the console. There it is. And then we have, we return those tiny H bars, 1,000, back to the console here. The H bar symbol can't be made here on the console, but if you build this obviously for a different type of output, you can bring that H bar symbol back. So this is just an example right here, a pretty straightforward example of the Java SDK. And this is all documented, or how to use the SDK. Java SDK is all documented in the Hedera documentation. Another service that I really like is the token service. Let's take a look at that. That's a fairly popular one. So we'll take a look at the smart contract service, and we'll also look at what's called the consensus service. Now, the consensus service doesn't mean network consensus, right? Proof of stake, different. On good or bad, the word consensus is a little overloaded on the Hedera network, meaning it's the same word used for different contexts, and we have to know the context. The consensus service, I think, is a really cool service, and I'll show you why. And it might be something if you're into supply chain or want to come up with some ideas for supply chain, or maybe it'll inspire you for that. It is a great component in a supply chain or chain of custody-like type of solution. Let's take a quick look at the token service. So the token service, we're going to look at really a minimal creation of a token. Right here, this is JavaScript. So you can see right here, we're requiring the Hashgraph SDK. So that'll be in our dependencies. Again, we have the .environment file. And right here, a little bit later on, we're going to use the testnet explorer. So, and if anybody needs this code, if you want to, that's not a problem. We can certainly zip up these projects. These are Node projects, Node.js projects. We can get those over to you. I am hard coding my account in there, but a little bit later on down here, you could see, obviously, we use the operator ID and operator key. I should probably comment that out right there because we don't need that. And what are we doing? So again, connecting to the testnet and passing in the operator ID, which is my account ID.
We got a question from the chat.
Sure.
Oh, he was wondering, I'll paste it in the chat, the Zoom chat, but he was wondering if this is run locally.
The JavaScript is run locally. However, we create this client object, and that's making the connections on Hedera, and it's bringing back all the Hedera information. So I hope that answers your question. So we're creating this, what I call a client object, and then see how we have the token balance executes on that object. So we pass that object in, and we keep on operating on the client object. So once we create that client object, that has all the connection information to go up to the Hedera blockchain. In this case, it's the testnet, obviously, because we don't want to spend any real value yet. And the way I code, you certainly don't want to spend any real value until you're absolutely sure it works. So this JavaScript is running locally. We can see here, we're just, now this would be our data. So right now I just have a hash in here, but this would be that metadata file that would be in the memo field that would interact with IPFS or AWS S3, I'm sorry. S3, I heard there was an outage today on that actually. And that's, if any of you are familiar with OpenSea or anything like that, I believe the images are, a lot of images for those NFTs are hosted on AWS S3. And what I'm going to do is just name the token, pretty straightforward there, give it a symbol. And these are just all ways to set parameters. Initial token supply is going to be 0, no decimals because it's an NFT, so we don't want any decimals there. We want it to be finite. We also want to pass in our operator key and our as our admin key and our supply key, and we want to associate it with our account. Notice here, again, we're passing in the client. So you can see here, every time we're calling execution or get receipt, again, the testnet client object is passed right here as an argument, and then we return them, and then we query these objects that we're creating. And then at the end, we do a token info query. And we bring back some information about the token. So the token type here should be NFT. What I really like about Hedera, we can create notice it says a token type, so it creates a token object. So we have a token object, but we can serialize it. So each type can be like almost instantiated as serial 1, serial 2, serial 3. So it can be the data that is associated, the image data can be very similar, if not identical, but there could be something that's a little bit different. That would be serial 1. And then serial 2 could have another difference. So it could even be username that you're issued to. So you want to create 10 instances of one token, but issue them, make them, the time it's been created or something, associate that makes it a little bit different. So we serialize them, or you're really instantiating them. And then we want to bring back the Explorer, or we want to just build an Explorer link because we want to take a look at the transaction through the testnet Explorer on the Hedera chain. And that's really it. So here's where we mint the token, and we mint it based on our the information that we have in our content identifier. Again, we have that client down here for the execute, and we create that transaction, and we have the minting of our token finally. And you can see down here the serials that are created too. So the NFT is created, and then it has a serial number associated with it. So this is the JavaScript. This is obviously the most popular. You want to make sure everything is imported here, and let's take a look at it. So what we would do here is call node and main. And I just have some output to the console. There's again, you can see here the NFT is created. You can see the NFT ID, but notice the serial number, serial 1. We're just creating one right now. But we could create several of this token type, which I really like about Hedera. So this link can be pasted right into a browser. So I can copy it right here and let's see. And here is our Hedera Explorer. It is on the testnet. Yep, I have it on the testnet. Great. This is our token ID. Let's just double check that. So our token ID is 400940092663. Yep, we got that. So let's take a look at a little bit about. So this is our account, and that was that's what we had in that file, that environmental file. We should be able to see that in the project. Is the project out here. And yep, 3377575. And that's what we see here. Great. We see this is the time. This is the date and time, at least where I am here in US Eastern time. You can see it's TBA token. It's finite. There is a max supply of 1. And there was that initial supply of 0, total supply of 1. Again, the symbol was TBA, that all works. And then we can see that content ID right here. So again, here's our account, and here is our NFT. This is very, very basic, obviously. Now, if we wanted to, we could put a real metadata file in here and point it off to an image or other metadata. But we'd have to have that all set up on either IPFS or S3. So this is very, very basic, the token service. But as you can see, the token service, again, it is in the it is in the documentation. HTS, you'll hear often references as HTS. Very straightforward. So we just make our calls back to our functions, a lot of the out of the box functions, and we can call several queries on them and get all the information really fast and really cheap. We can't tell on the testnet how inexpensive the tokens are, much less expensive than Ethereum, and very, very similar and compliant with Ethereum. So all those ERC 721 and all that is you can use all of that or get all of those same standards with the Hedera token service. So that's the token service. And another one is the what's called the consensus service. So I'm a big fan of the consensus service. And let's take it. So this actually manages messages, interestingly enough. So let's start this one up. Hopefully this is also JavaScript. This might run a little slow. So we're going to go with default here. And one thing you'll need on Hedera is you will need a testnet account. So let's take a quick look. So you got to go to the Hedera portal, which I'll put this in here in the chat, Hedera portal.
Jim, we just had a question coming from YouTube. Someone's asking, is there a way to create your own NFT on a blockchain market?
A marketplace? Oh yeah, absolutely. So we would, I'm not sure, OpenSea is highly proprietary. Hope I'm getting that out right. But Hedera has its own marketplace for NFTs, and there are also other marketplaces that support Hedera. So if you go out to the documentation, you should get pointed to all of the places where you can host your NFTs or marketplaces where you can trade Hedera NFTs.
And would that be accessible through this portal as well, or do you know if it'd be a different, a different access point?
Well, this portal is just where you create your accounts. So you will obviously need a testnet account. You will need a mainnet account. With the mainnet account, you need the wallet. That's really the big thing. So you set up your wallet for the Hedera mainnet. You fund the wallet with just a little bit of HBAR. I don't know, one, I guess one to start, but you'd want obviously more than that. And first place I would go is just the Hedera supported NFT marketplace. So that's in the Hedera documentations, part of the Hedera ecosystem. And then either chat with the community or just search on your own. You can probably find it within a few minutes. Some other in Europe, Switzerland, Hedera is pretty popular. So France too, also here in the US. So you should be able to find plenty of marketplaces for trading. I'm pretty sure that OpenSea right now is just like Ethereum and Solana tokens. I'm not aware that Hedera is out there yet, maybe soon, but not aware of it right now.
There's a follow-up question from the chat related to that as well.
Okay.
They're confused about what exactly Hedera enables. Like, is it a tool to build your own NFT, or is it a wallet, or is it a combination of things?
Oh, well, it's a DLT, right? So it's I guess you could say it's the equivalent of a blockchain like Ethereum. It's a little bit of different construction though. So it's constructed as a hash graph, not as a traditional blockchain. So a hash graph is a little bit of a different shape, which is part of the reason why it's so fast. It also has multiple networks. So the Hedera mainnet does not store history. All history is kept on what's called the mirror net. So that's where, if you want to see any of the history, so only let's just say the current world state is kept on the mainnet, and any historical transactions are kept on what they call the mirror net. And so the Hedera operates. It's not built like a traditional blockchain, but it functions exactly the same way. So there are nodes out there, node operators. There's a cryptocurrency called HBAR. And Hedera obviously goes to solve the trilemma for high performance, security, and decentralization. So highly decentralized, highly secure, but also given the shape and the network, it's very, very fast and inexpensive. So Hedera has wallets like Ethereum does, but it's also a network. It's effectively for user purposes, it's effectively a blockchain network. But it's what we would call DLT, right? The family that blockchain is part of, distributed ledger technology. Hope that answers everybody's question. So we need the test net. So we'll go in here to account ID. Notice I'm getting prompted for an account ID. So we'll just click the copy right there, and I'll paste in my account ID. And now it's prompting me for my private key. So I'll go back. Notice it says private key right up here. We don't want public key. We want private key. So I'll just copy this out. But notice it's going to be hidden. The private key is supposed to be hidden. So when I do that, see this jumps out here like this. Now, the kind of asset right now that we'll be working on is called a topic. Notice it says topic here. So it's going to come back and give us a topic. So a topic ID right there. So this is what we will be generating. The topic is what we'll be generating all the transactions on. So this is almost like a highly secure messaging type of service. So it looks like a chat, and we're going to use, because they're messages, we're going to use a chat. Again, we have our topic ID right here. Topic ID is right here. It ends in 67. But you can do much more than just securing chatting. So again, this could be a solution for chain of custody. This could be a solution for supply chain. We could put up here, welcome to the hackathon. And click send here. And let's just give it a second. It'll come back and we'll see that we actually have we have a time-stamped transacted message right here. Now, so because it's transacted, we should be, and it's got a sequence number associated with it. This is 100% verifiable. Where is it verifiable? Verifiable? Oh gosh, I'm really tongue-tied today. It's the end. You can tell it's the end of the day. Bear with me here 1 second. It is here in the Explorer. So let's go back here for 1 second and let's get the topic ID, which this is sharded. Notice it's sharded, so I got to get that. Now I got to go back here and get the Explorer, and let's paste in this topic ID here. Search. And we're in the test net. Here's our topic ID, and look at this. Welcome to the hackathon. So we could, didn't mean to do that, sorry. So here, yeah, you can see there's also a transaction ID here too, but we can see welcome to the hackathon. So now this is time-stamped, obviously. We see an account, payer account, and we can see the actual message. So this is something that possibly can inspire everybody that's on here as a way to build a solution throughout this hackathon. And we can say greetings. Greetings, have a great holiday weekend. And we could say, don't eat too much. Bunnies. So again, we can see here each one of these messages are sequenced, and it's only right now it's just me doing this. So but if you have a multi-way chat, obviously it makes for a better type of demonstration. But if we refresh this now, we should see all three of these messages. Okay, great, we do. So we see the account ID, we obviously the date, the timestamp, very, very important. And again, we see here, don't eat too many, or don't eat too, well, I probably should have said too many chocolate bunnies. Have a great holiday weekend and welcome to the hackathon. So I think you get the idea. We're securing these messages, but if you think about it, where would this be good? Where would this be important? Where would it be on a public network, time-stamped and 100% verifiable, brought back in a Explorer type of a format? So I think this is a really cool service, out of the box service that Hedera has. Again, this is called the consensus service, different from proof of stake. That's another thing about Hedera. Hedera, even though it's not a traditional blockchain architecture, it still has to come to consensus because it's a distributed network. So all of the nodes have to be in agreement. So it uses proof of stake just like Ethereum, and Byzantine fault tolerant, and all that. So this is the Hedera consensus service. And let's take a look at the smart contract service. So here with the smart contract service, I know this is probably hard to see. This is a React.js. The smart contracts are compiled right here in the contracts folder. So we can see here, Hedera uses the Ethereum virtual machine. So this is Solidity right here. So you can see we're going to use a smart contract here to create some tokens and move some tokens around. And we're importing the token service Solidity here. I won't go over this too much. This is a reusable library. But let's take a look at, if we come up here. So these are the smart contracts that actually do the token creation and do the transfer of the tokens. Because in a few minutes we're going to take a look at the and in here in these components, if you know anything about React.js, we're going to have 3 components on our dApp, right? We're going to have a web page front end, and we're going to have buttons, a group of buttons. So it's pretty straightforward React.js, just, the buttons and passing in the props file, if you're familiar with React.js. And then we have files very similar. So we're going to take a look at how the web page calls the smart contracts and calls these files here. Notice the token create.js. Well, it's right here. It runs something very, very similar to what I just ran over here. Right here in my, this was my demo. Remember where I had the little URL built here? Well, this is the one that comes with this. This is the one for this dApp. Very, very similar so this is creating a token. Notice it's called a dApp. It's called a dApp token. It's using the operator ID, all those same principles in that basic example. Again, importing the Hashgraph SDK. But it has some extra imports up here. Obviously, it's importing React. And then it's also importing the config.js file. And if we look here, let me show you what I'm opening up here. I'm opening the app file right here. So this is app.js. And look what app.js is doing. It's going down and it's picking up the script here, token create.js right here. So it's calling, when we use our dApp from the web page, our web page is just simply going to go out and it's going to call this .js file, this JavaScript file, which will create a token for us. And you can see right down here that if we click on this button right here, token create, if the condition, if we already have a token, then but right here it calls token create for us, and we'll see that on the web page. And then right here, token mint, well, it's going to call token mint for us, which is another file, which is another JS file right here. So this is the API that calls the Hedera these Hedera JavaScript files. And again, the token transfer right here, we can see this, and then the object that we have here is right down here. So what we're doing with our dApp, I guess we'll call it a dApp. We have our smart contract that does our transactions, but we have a dApp that actually we can click on the buttons and we can get output back. Notice here it says, "Oh, great job, you completed the demo." And obviously we can return output to the user. But we can call Hedera functions. In this case, we're calling Hedera Java files, and we're also calling the smart contract. And the smart contract we call by, where is it? I just saw it. contract ID right here. So we're getting that contract ID right there. So we're able to call our smart contract. Now our smart contract is on the Hedera network. So we have to remember that. So let's go ahead and start this up. Yarn start. Again, with this, you have to install Node, install React. I hate when React starts up because it gives you all these messages, and they always make me nervous, and then they disappear. So this is running locally. The DApp is running locally, but it's connecting to the smart contract that's up on Hedera. Is this big enough? Hopefully it's big enough. Anyway, we saw that create new token. So we're going to call that create new token. And there it is, successfully created token. And if we look here, we should see in here, you have, right here, successfully created token. And notice it's getting the token ID. And there we go, getting the token ID. We can mint these tokens and deploy. This is where you have to have the contract. So we deployed the contract with its ID. So that's the smart contract. And then you can transfer tokens to that smart. And there's that great job. Great, right down here, successfully deployed to the great job right here. So you have completed the demo. So our smart contract here is just basically, shifting or doing a transaction transfer from one account to another. Pretty straightforward, but at least you can see here how we map or how our React.js can call either a JS file or it can call or it can actually call a smart contract. So these services here. This is what I wanted to demo, and I told Scotty it would be 30 minutes. So that's been 30 minutes or so. We can certainly take questions. So we looked at the we looked at the token service, the Hedera HTS. We looked at the we looked at the transaction. We just got acquainted with it. We looked at a little bit about the JavaScript, or I'm sorry, the Java SDK that just does, create accounts. We created new accounts. We saw that. We funded some accounts. We looked at the consensus service, and here we're looking at the smart contract service and how to put a front end on it. If anybody needs any of this, we can certainly zip up these projects. Obviously, it's pretty easy to do. I have it right here. I can just zip it up and send it over to Scotty here. But if anybody has, again, we have the environment file and all that. You would have to put your own account in here, your own environment. No, that's not it. That's not what I want. That happens to be the port. Notice this is 3002. Which one of these? I think it's in. Might be in source. I think it's in config here where we put our, oh yeah, so here is the public key, the private key, and the account. Yeah, I knew it was somewhere. So any other questions out there, guys?
Yeah, we do have a few from the audience, but before that, Jen, thank you for the demo. And then if you can email me the zip files and all that, Jay, Christian, Dean, and I will find a way to post that into Discord and in other methods, get it out to everyone who might need it for the hackathon as well. So I guess, Jay, do you want to go and bring up that question?
I'll post the entire message from YouTube in the chat. He says, is there a way to do this through Python instead of Java on the Hedera Git Bash using the MERN stack? Mongo.
I never did. That's a great question. We'd have to look in the Hedera docs, which I had open earlier. I don't see them right now, but bear with me here. Well, you know what?
Yeah, that's actually a great question, everyone. I know a lot of times when we join hackathons, we kind of get this feeling of, oh, I have to do exactly what the workshop did. And so Thank you to Sean Rowe, the half Chinese, half Korean cyborg, for asking that. We we do want to emphasize that these demos, they're intended to help you get started, but if you feel like as we go through this documentation, if you feel like MERN fits you better and you're able to do that, then you're definitely welcome to do that as well.
Let's take a look here at SDKs and APIs. So let's see. Java, JavaScript, and Go. See that a lot. Yeah, Java, JavaScript, and Go. So I think there is some Python. I believe there is a Python SDK. I don't know how how well documented it is, or if it has close to the functionality of the Java, JavaScript, and Go. But yeah, I would stick with, if you can, I would stick with these three for right now. Take a look though what's available as far as Python. Let's see what's in the documentation here. And what was the rest of the question? I'm sorry.
The rest of the question was just that is it okay to do it on Python instead of Java on the Git bash?
Yeah, if you can find it, yeah, I don't see why not, right? I'm not one of the judges, so I don't want to mislead you, but does it really matter what SDK they use, right? It's as long as they produce the user results. Does it matter? I don't want to mislead you and say, hey, Jim said we could do this, and then have the judges say, oh no, that's not good.
Yeah, the good thing is, anyone who has questions about this stuff, Hedera did mention, they have office hours and all of that. So everyone's definitely welcome to reach out to Hedera and ask questions directly to figure out what their judges are okay with or not.
That'd probably be better for everyone because obviously they can give you the latest on Python and all that. So.
Yeah, and also if you're looking at the YouTube chat, we pinned a message where I linked to the Hedera Corporate Challenge, so that Google Doc has more information on the judging criteria and all that. So feel free to check that in case you have any questions. And if it's still not answered, definitely reach out to Hedera. But then at the same time, the Blockchain Academy, Jim, whoever else is on staff like Kyle and Ryan, they're all they're all happy to answer questions as much as as many questions as you have.
Yeah, so let us know.
Posted another question to the chat. Yeah. The same person says, is there a way to connect the M25 hash authentication token to the mainframe on Hedera?
Mainframe, when you say, do you mean mainnet or mainframe?
I think they probably meant mainnet.
Okay. Yes, you can connect to the mainnet. There's an example of it, what you can see right here. As far as that data that you want to add, I hate to tell you this, but you might want to hold that one. You can obviously make some connections with the data for the mainnet, I'll tell you that, but you might want to wait for the Hedera office hours to actually find out how to do that. Because I've never done that. I've never done that one before, so.
All right, and then Jim, we do have one last question. You're welcome, Sean. Glad we answered that for you. We do have one last question. Earlier, the person asking if you can create your own NFT on a blockchain market using this. They're also asking, does the API specifically allow you to connect to the blockchain and perform decentralized operations such as listing an NFT or purchasing crypto?
Let's see. Well, you can obviously purchase. We saw a demo where you could purchase your own HBAR crypto. But if you wanted to use Hedera for purchasing crypto, the API, that might be another one that you might want to talk to Hedera about. I'm just trying to think. Transferring accounts or crypto, obviously NFTs and fungible tokens. That's cryptocurrency. As far as someone else's tokens in a wallet, not aware that you could do that, but that might be another question for Hedera, just to see if they have a solution for you on that one.
All right, thanks a lot. I don't think we have any more questions. So I guess, Jim, do you have any closing words? Anything you want to kind of leave everyone with before we end for this session?
Just wanted to inspire everybody with a demo of some of these services. So definitely look at the documentation. If any of those gave you any ideas, go out, take a look at smart contract, consensus, and token service here, and take a look at some examples. And it's all of, talking about the construction, the architecture of Hedera. That's not all that important. The important thing is that we can get some real results. We can create NFTs. There is a solution for an NFT marketplace, 100%. But if you have any other, out of all of this, there are other services out there. There's something called a file service that you can use to maybe secure video files or music files. But take a look at the documentation, take a look at these services, and whatever problem you can think of, try to apply it to some of these services. Hedera does a great job. It's really easy to use, really fast, and it has the SDKs and the APIs really straightforward. So even if you have kind of a mediocre idea, you could still do a lot with it and solve a lot of problems.
All right, thanks a lot, Jim. If anyone has more questions, you're welcome to post them in our Discord. Just make it clear you're asking questions to Jim Sullivan or the Blockchain Academy in general. And Jim, I guess
There's actually one more question.
we'll go ahead and save that for Discord, but Jim, let's go ahead and for your contact information, is it okay if I leave your LinkedIn in the video description for everyone?
Oh yeah.
All right. So everyone, I post that into the YouTube chat. I will also include it in the video description. Sean, I'm sorry, yeah, but we do need to move on to the next session.
Oh yeah, you do have another session, so.
Yeah, we're gonna help everyone find teammates with that session, so we got set for that. But Sean, please ask that question in Discord or message Jim directly, and hopefully we've answered most of what you're trying to figure out through this session. But we will coordinate with Jim and see if we can schedule a few more workshops with him. We definitely know that a lot of y'all are interested in trying to go for the Hedera prize, but just in general, learning how to use blockchain. So we definitely want to help you along through our 2 weeks here. And if there's anything else we can help with, we definitely want to do that. Just apologies for bringing this to a close, just time constraints. So Jim, thank you so much for your flexibility.
You're welcome, Scotty.
All this.
Thank you.
This.
Yep, and there are 2 certifications here at the Blockchain Academy. If anyone's interested in getting a certification, we go through the exercises in detail. So thanks, everyone. Have a great weekend. And don't eat too much chocolate.
Definitely. Definitely. Jim, if you can stay on a little bit, I'm just gonna turn off the live